Well, if the spirit is moving you, then let me groove you. How y'all doing? Good to see everybody. I think this says that we're live. It says, let's see. It says you're live. How about that? So good to see everybody. Thank you for everyone who wrote me emails and asking where I was at. Had to take a little time off, if you know what I mean. Processing a lot of stuff these days, and that convergence thing, the whole alignment and coming into this whole new age is, and regrettably that word new age has been hijacked, but we are in a new age and lots of stuff going on. So favor to all of you. Thank you so much to see you. And it is a joy to be back. And the energy level is back. I got to tell you, as I wrote to a number of you, and there's still a number I have to answer emails that were asking where was I. Didn't know I was that missed, to be candid with you. It's like, oh, that's pretty groovy. But no, I mean, hey, Deborah, hello, and Jody and Kaz, how you doing, darling? Good to see you. Nina, good to see you. And David Barry, my good friend, fellow sojourner. Susie Q, good to see you. And Jill and True Divine, hey, Jenny, what's up? Emperor X and David Castle and all the rest of you. Thank you, moderators, and thank you for everyone else joining this. Something, it was heavy. I who knows? I know that I wasn't the only one experiencing it, and it was pretty bizarre. I mean, I'm back to what normal would be. I don't know what normal is exactly, but anyway, I'm no longer. It was pretty heavy there for a couple of days. This split reality, the perception of being acutely aware of both realities existing in the same plane. Yeah, I know y'all know what I'm talking about because I wrote to a number of you, and I just want to say Marsha Price is, we got so many exceptional people here. I mean, this is the place. And as Lynn and I were talking, I just chalk it up to the fact that empathic, I don't know, would say, yeah, there's something here, folks, and it's interesting. Um, I understand now how people can see that others who can perceive different realities existing in the same plane, that it's a little spacey, to be candid with you. But, I really slept deep, 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 and had some strange, strange dreams. One last night was really strange, but anyway. So what's happening with y'all? Happy holiday season, however you are expressing it. Be good at it. Happy birthday to those that are having it, and BOSTO, be of service to all others. Yeah, I think Nina says she's having a live show after this one. So there you go. I have thousands of little Post-it notes everywhere because that's how I write them. For instance, I'm going to actually have this one put on a t-shirt. Ignorance is a self-inflicted disease that is easily cured with knowledge. True. Someone, Peter's up there talking. I think what song was that? Was Barbara Streisand and wasn't it Neil Diamond? You Don't Bring Me Flowers. Anyway, really digged. Still do. Neil Diamond was cool. Let's see. What was that, Brandy? I've had some strangest dreams as well. Yeah, apparently there's a lot of us who have. Marsha Price. I mean, Marsha, love you, girl. I got to tell you. I mean, when you start having lucid dreams, this happened with me and David Barry. I was standing. I don't even know if I was standing, David. I think I had the perspective of looking down, but I was in his living room, folks. and described it to him, and he wrote back and said, "Yep, that's what was happening." Hey, cheesesteak, what's happening? Hey, Cajun Queen, how you doing? Well, it's good to see you. And Grandpa Brian, everyone else. Paul from Newcastle, good to see you as well. Alan, good to see you. It's interesting, Ellen, that you say that. I was talking to Trina, and strange thing yesterday. Now she woke up actually not just nauseated. I woke up nauseated. She actually was beyond nauseated, and she said it was like a purge. And yeah, who knows? Hey, Shannon, good to see you. Hey, from Texas. Want to say thank you for the positive healing vibes for my husband. Oh, great. He's doing excellent. You know, there's a healing bunch here. Hey, Lucky Stone, how are you doing, my friend? So good to see you, Gaza. Good to see you. Good to see you, Darth. Hello. So yeah. Hey, Loretta. Yeah. Isn't it interesting? Things are going on. I have to, again, apologize to the Drama 7 folks. I was scheduled to go on there and they had a great show. Hey, Coyote Prophet, good to see you. But man, I was not in the place. I mean, uh, my wife, she noticed it. It was profound. And I don't know. The song by the Hollies comes to mind. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. And yeah, man, folks, there is some things coming. That's all I'm going to say. Listen to me over on the Steiger perspective. And I'm actually going to start doing videos on the other non-censored channel. So wait for more of that to come, because yeah, it seems like there's two, and I wrote this down, there appears to be two different awakenings taking place. And I thought that was really strange, but yet it makes perfect sense when you think about it. If you have one vibration of humanity responding to what I am calling as a new frequency, that's the only thing I can say. It would make sense. Why would the frequency of one age be replicated in the frequency of a next age? I don't think so. I think each age carries its own uniqueness, its own vibration, its frequency, and the way that it harmonizes, which makes it a distinct age. In other words, could be that we've moved into the epoch of Aquarius. And that's probably more fitting if you think about it, because we truly are entering into a new epoch. And it's like this. I'll just lay it out in code. For every great birth, and that's of every spirit or soul, how you perceive it, before that awakening, that birth, can take place, travail is always the precursor. And I've passed kidney stones in my lifetime, and from what ladies have told me, that's probably about as close as a male will ever come to experiencing childbirth. But in no way can we ever imagine that experience. But yeah, so y'all know what I'm talking about. Uh-huh. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jenny, you're absolutely, she's probably going, yes, I think you have what, dear, 4 children, is that right? One would know. I can't imagine. I mean, I really can't. Passing the kidney stones sucked. Meningitis was no picnic, but not the same type of pain, not the same type of process. And it's really interesting. It got me to thinking, we've covered a lot of programs here this year. I mean, you think about it. We meet here for almost 52 weeks out of the year. I mean, folks, this is a hangout. This is truly a tribe. Thank you, Cajun Queen. Hit the like button. Yeah, that'd be a great present. That'd be nice. And hit the donate button up there on the homepage. That leads right to Lois's food pantry. So there we go. Well, hello from Croatia. Good to see you, Zulu. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. We are family. Yeah, I mean, we really are. I mean, this is, I've given up on the growth thing. It doesn't matter. What does matter is the quality of the unique soul people that are here. I mean, we got a group here of really soul people. And we've talked about this, I think, as well, in other channels, is that I think many of us I think we come from the same place, the same pod, the same tribe. I don't know. But it seems interesting how we have all met up here. And there is really, yeah, relationships being made and built. And that's pretty cool. So back to the Andromeda 7, folks. No way I could have done it. It was just, I had no energy. That was it. It was like there was this energy, and I'm not saying it was good or bad. It was just, it was not matched up to mine. And it took me a couple of days to find basically the transducer that could convert that energy to an energy that was more receptive to my being. And when you get there, thank you. I love this group. Seriously. um, Amazing. But and once I got it, I mean, there was a deep, deep sleep. I mean, a really deep sleep. So yeah, thank you, David Barry. I'll get back on there. We'll get back on there. We'll rock and roll. Hey. Everyone goes about their way of how you process things. And there are things, as Arlo Guthrie would say, there are things that are already here. So I thought, for just the fun of it, the odds and ends, that we kind of go back and look at some of the things that we talked about this year. And there's one document, folks, that we're going to spend a little bit of time on. This one has always intrigued me. I've had this document 8 years, 9 years, maybe. And the amazing thing is that everything that this document has talked about is unfolding. Everything. And it's weird. And I thought, well, 2020 has been, I don't know what you want to describe it. We are not in the same reality. We made a shift, a literal shift, and it happened in a twinkling of an eye. And it happened so quickly, none of us caught it. And it kind of says something where we are psychically as a collective. We've got to amp the game up, man. We have got to step the game up big time. And when it began to dawn on many, just what the freak did happen. Yeah. And the rest of 2020, and I don't think it's done with us. And it's just my intuitiveness. I can tell you, I don't think 2021 is going to be any party either. I really don't. So I want to show this because I think it's interesting that we can have a chance to take a look at this again. So this is the document. Let me get this. Oh, there we go. This document was a presentation, and you can see down here, it was apparently the presentation was made in July 2001, and it is giving an in at that time. It was really looking into the future. Here's the weird thing about it. We are now living this future. So if we're living this future, no matter what we thought the past was, we were already destined to be here. And this gets really complicated, but it's interesting because they address this. So they get into the capabilities of enemy of the next generation. They talk about back in 2001. Now, remember, there was no Facebook. You didn't have Twitter. You didn't have, the phones were just moving from analog to digital. That's where we were. The big debate, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, 801.2b. No, it has to be 801. I. Well, no, I can't get I because I hasn't been invented yet. The whole thing. Economic trends. Now, remember what happened in July of 2001. We had just come out of, the contested election. And remember, this was pre 9/11. So you get into this thing, and it talks about the bots, the Borgs, and the humans to come. And this is just, again, if you don't have this, just email me. I'll send it to you. It's worth your time. And it's 114 slides. We're not going to spend 114 minutes on this. But as you read in these, each one of these assumptions, it is uncanny that whoever put this together, that it's almost like looking at a crystal ball, because it's happening. I thought this was really interesting because they view Earth as a spaceship. I've talked about this before, because if you get into a state of consciousness where you see Earth as in fact, a spaceship, it meets all the criteria. It talks about the crew. It's plundering the ship's supplies. They're tinkering with the temperature and life support controls. Holy crap. Look at what we're in the midst of right now. Still looking for instruction manual. It's a hell of a thing. It's like, when you have a child and you leave the hospital, they don't give you a book. They don't give you the manual. You got to figure it out on your own. Engaging in bloody skirmishes in every corner of the vessel, increasing the size of the crew by 2 million per week, and that's actually accelerated. Humans have taken over and vastly shortened the evolution of the planet. Here they're talking about global warming, pollution, deforestation. And the thing about it is that what they should have, and they did not put in here, which it's a huge gap and an error, is they did not get into, for instance, the moving of the magnetic poles. We're in the midst of it. And we got a clue as to how this is going to end up. But boy, and in fact, just today, if you go over onto a Ben's channel, Suspicious Observers, check and see what the new instrumentation is showing in the magnetic anomalies. Houston, we're on our way. The human species. Now, folks, 2001, I was invested in some biotech companies that were involved in mapping out the human genome. And we had just began to crack the code. But we were where we are today. It's amazing that they saw this coming. Genomic design and repair. Need I say any more? And folks, this is 20 years ago. Or if I was to say it properly, it was 100 ago. And then look at this, the Morai, the mind children. This one gets into a little bit weird. So it gets into, get this, product and life forms, cross species molecule breeding, direct evolution, Maxogen. It goes into, at this time, this was in, again, July 2001. And you can see the impact of what was happening then. 70% of the world's research conducted outside of the US. It goes into talking about how much each country was spending. And here was the big thing. And it's interesting where we are now. I could get into a lot of it, but we don't need to because you can do your own research. But the nanotechnology, if you look at it, Europe, 30%, Japan, let's just say Japan, US, all about the same. It was a big deal. It still is a very big deal. The technological ages of humankind, hunter-killer groups, that goes back to about 1 million BC to 10,000 BC. Then we came into agriculture, about 10,000 BC to about 1800 AD. And at the end of the agricultural revolution, of course, the industrial age was well underway at this point and began to replace that next. And that went from about 1800 to 1950. We have now since left what they defined then. Now get this, the IT age, information technology, from 1950 to 2020. Now we know we're beyond that. We're into quantum realities here. Quantum, and in fact, we're into quantum DNA computing, which is, they saw it as a bio nano, and they were spot on with the virtual technology. And you can see how everything that they said 20 years ago is coming to pass. Our nature is to provide. That's what we do. We seek to control nature as best as that we can. When the humans moved in, the Matrix had it right. Mr. Smith nailed it. Humans are a virus. They can't live in harmony with the ecosystem. When we made the jump from chimp to this form of bipedal that we are, we lost our protection, our hair. Humans are the only ones that lost their hair. That's why we have to wear clothes. And so we know that these jumps do take place. And it's foolish for anyone to get so comfortable to think that this is where it stops. It does not. We go from there to when we began to realize that, you know what? Working in the garden sucks. I know. As a kid, from the age of about 10, 11, and 12, I spent every summer in Genoa, Texas, there in the Texas Gulf Plains, working in a garden. And anyone can tell you it's hard work. Well, that's why we got smart and said, well, we'll make a machine take the burden of our work. That was the Industrial Revolution. And then the whole IT was about automating both industry and agriculture. And look where it has led today, folks. There was only theory back in 20 years ago, but they put in the classification of virtual robotization of every industry. And as I have spoken about before, because of this pandemic, this move to automation has been amped up on steroids. I mean, it's just a fact. And it's in full mode and going full gear. When you begin to look at what they saw the future to be, they saw that the silicon bio-optical quantum nano computing, they nailed it. It was less than 4 years after this that the D wave came on board. And again, you can listen to their founder and CEO back in the day. It's out there. When he said they first turned it on, it was like alien. They said literally it was like kneeling before an alien god. So they saw virtual reality, holographic, immersive, ubiquitous communications, hyperspectral sensors, virtual presence, automatic robotic everything, huge cost reductions. I mean, folks, this is uncanny. When I was putting this together, I'm just shaking my head going, now imagine if you had taken this document serious when it came out, excuse me, you'd have made a fortune. I mean, you would have literally made a fortune. Look what they look into the bio: lifespan doubling, genetic engineering before birth. Y'all go ahead and put the pieces together. I mean, come on. You know, I can only lay the breadcrumbs, but come on, folks. Are you seeing something here? Plants irrigated by seawater, food, petrochemical feedstock, minerals, terraforming. I did a whole program on this. That I was not kidding when I wrote this. And then you look at the nanotechnology, carbon nanotubes, you know, graphene. Have you ever studied what graphene is? Assemblers, living factories. We've got this again. All of this is doing with huge cost reductions. And in this pandemic environment we're in, I mean, look what's going on. I think where robotics is concerned, automation, the because of this whole thing, that agenda has been advanced by at least 10 years. They saw a worldwide revolution coming in computing, communications, electronics. They go through a number of factors beyond human AI. Huge controversy now about AI. Many now believe that the genie is out of the bottle, that AI is here and that it is out of control. There was no worldwide forum put together. And I remember attending in Beaver Creek Mindshare, Executive Mindshare in 1999. And we were discussing the ethics and the morality. We were moving into, get this, folks, e-commerce. Today, you look at it and you just kind of laugh, you know, but it had to start from somewhere. And I was a part of that. And the discussions where AI was concerned, it never happened like it did with how did we form commerce? How do we convert the mindset from a consumer that goes from brick and mortar to virtual reality, which is what it is. You're shopping from your phone. It's a virtual reality made for you. And Bezos, and you know, hats off to him. He saw it in a much bigger light. But the point is, now we're at this point where there was never the forums dictating, could programmers be held responsible for programming AI programs that become rogue, that become harmful, that cost companies, corporations, governments, individuals, you know, billions, hundreds of billions of dollars each year? This has gotten out of control. I mean, and you look at it, the immersive, multi-sensory virtual reality. What it's doing now to the children, we have no science that's going to say, well, you know, it's really going to mess up your kids big time. We're going to get more into this in next year, but anyway, ambiguous multiphysical hyperspectral sensors land in, so we've got this already. When you think about now what Tesla is doing, Microsoft is doing, Google is doing with these low orbit satellites. I mean, yeah. Look at this. The worldwide impacts and ongoing IT revolution upon society. Think about where we are today. Don't tell me that this is like reading the master script. Telecommuting, well, that's a hell of a reality today, is it not? Teleshopping, teleentertainment, teletravel. You're going to see coming out next year, because of what we're going to have to be facing, and I'm not going to get into this, but you're going to see where the travel industry is concerned, there's going to be a merge where you will not have to go out of your living room. We're going to bring you total recall, and it's going to be emerging next year. Mark my words on this, where you're going to be able to get the head apparatus. In fact, you're going to be able to actually purchase what you would almost call a bio room, that as you get immersed into your virtual trip to Hawaii, you're going to have virtually as though if you were there. It's going to be that real. Now, what does that do to the perceptual frontal lobes of the brain? We'll see. Look at this. Teleeducation. I'm sure wherever you live, where I live here in Colorado, this is probably one of the most overlooked, not expected consequences that we're going to be paying for generations to come. We're finding out that teleeducation does not work for, particularly in the most important years, that 5 to about 10, 11, where society understandings are shared, understood, transmitted to other children. You begin to get what is called the necessities of societal living. Well, they're finding out that teleeducation does not work. Kids, we weren't designed to do that unless they jack us into the machine. Telemedicine, this is the future. It is here. It's going to get more sophisticated. I can tell you that there are devices that are in the testing phase right now, where it's going to be literally a downloadable app almost, but it will be on a separate device initially, that you will have a conference with your doctor or the medical assistant. And because of the new device that's going to come out, it's going to give them everything they need. I've seen and read that there is a prototype even where now they're going to be able to take a blood sample. Yeah. Telecommerce, telepolitics. Look at the debate today. And then telesocialization. This is an experiment that we are living in. We are we're in the petri dish. We're the guinea pigs. And what we're finding out about telesocialization, it's the same problem the astronauts face. You can have the two-way electrical ether thing going on here, but it's not like, shaking your hand, giving you a hug, and, just exchanging that energy. Is this not fascinating? I don't know. I mean, come on, folks. You look back at this, it's just amazing. Here were some of their predictions. Quantum computing, initially available in 5 years. They nailed it. 15% of all power today is used by computers. It will reach 60% by 2010. They're absolutely correct. In fact, it's that, the computer age is actually the #1 single draw of all electricity. They talk about going to green power and what have you. They're not addressing the real issue here. It's the fact that we live in an electrical reality. The electrical invaders came here. They're here. They're everywhere. We just didn't recognize them as a life form. Look at this. Hello, Apple, wearable, implantable, on-person electronics, communications, computer, sensory, augmentation, health monitoring, brain stimulation. All this is reality today. This is already happening. Human brain characteristics and capabilities, 100 billion neurons, 100 trillion connections, 200 calculations per second, slow speed of the neural circuitry, 20 billion calculations per second, excellent at parallel computing, pattern recognition, poor at sequential thinking. Yeah, we can't do that. Operates via random tries. And then the machine, we've surpassed this now. The Human Brain Project, I did a whole thing on this. This was, and this happened. I don't know where they've gone beyond this now, but this project did in fact happen, and the results are what we're seeing today. Let's see. And it's so interesting to see. All right, this is Elon Musk. Current AI's best bet, not a rule based on expert systems. This again was, remember, 20 years ago. And I'm almost convinced that I think Elon had to see this same document. And if you go through it, you'll get where I'm coming from. They looked at AI to generate new idea concepts, being, the starving or trained neural net. Neural net, well, we heard that before, of meaningful inputs, forcing it to dream, to cavitate, create new concepts. An attended neural net used to capture, record, evaluate, and report on these writings. I did an article this year, program this year, that the fact that you now have the studios, you have AI writing programs, you have AI writing music. The experiments that they have now with what AI is painting, what AI is understanding what dreams are. Sounds like awareness to me, doesn't it? In this worldwide economy, our ability to create wealth is not bound by physical limits, resources, but by our ability to come up with new ideas. Doesn't seem like we've really come up with too many good new ideas. Says, however, even universal wealth will not obfuscate the other causes of warfare, which include politics, race, religion, megalomania. If you have, these, and I could get political here, but when you have these egos that they're beyond even God, right? And territorial disputes. So it's quite, again, the serious problems that they saw, and every one of them, look at this: energy, water, food, land, population growth, wealth generation, pollution, warming. And then you look at what they were even thinking about. These were brainstorming. Killer app solutions. Remember, folks, the apps didn't exist. You didn't have a smartphone. But look at this: motivational, inexpensive, web-based, asynchronous, distant learning. 2, biomass food via seawater irrigation. China is well in that. Look what China has done in Yemen and all of those countries. China has now a established foothold. I'll put it that way. They are turning the deserts into what are becoming the new bread baskets. Inexpensive, motivational, asynchronous, web-based, distant educational enables demise of U.S. underclasses. That's not happening. Wealth creation from embedded inventions. Yeah, and all this did generate a lot of wealth, but the problem was the wealth is, as we all know, pulled into a very small pool. Why? Because they're making a buck off you and I, and they're not paying us for it. There's a lawsuit nationwide on that. Anyway, it goes on. I won't, because I want to get into another thing, but when you see what they see for us in 2025, the societal changes, this, folks, it'll make the hair in the back of your neck stand up. I mean, there's no doubt about it. This is exactly what has happened. And psychosomatic illnesses, withdrawals, they even knew that there were what we're calling today 5G. They did not quite see the implications of that. But anyway, so check it out. It's well worth it. I'm just telling you, it is. So let me get that out closed. So weird, isn't it? I'm telling you, it's strange. And it gets one to thinking, and I'll just lay it out here. And send me your input on this. When I read documents like this, and you can go back and read it yourself, do your own analysis on it, compare to what your reality is and to what it was 20 years ago, and realize that if you had this document and if you were intuitive enough, empathic enough, you would have begun to realize that someone is saying a master plan here. Someone already put the code. You know, we read the pyramid code. The code was already laid out. And here we are today living this. And it's going to get weirder because now we're seeing the effects of all this technology. And a lot of us saying we don't like it. You know, it was fun at first. It really was. The internet was fun. I remember when I lived back in Knoxville, Tennessee, you know, AOL. You know, I was working with Whittle Communications back then. And, you know, we thought a dial-up at 56K was cooking, baby. Oh, yeah. You know, and you always remember America Online, you know. And then if you were really kind of sophisticated in the browser aspect, you know, you had Netscape, you have CompuServe. Remember back in the days? And remember how you used to be charged by the minute to access the internet? Yeah. I mean, you know, folks, here's my point. Does this not seem like you and I are just a puppet? Oh, put your hand down. Now we're going. And, you know, it's freaking weird because this is, in my opinion, the epitome of population mind control under the guise that we're living in freedom. You know, again, we thought no one knew, you know, no one knew. Who would have known that e-commerce in 1997, 98, when we were first meeting about it, and then we began to launch it, who knew that depending on how your perspective is, it would have either been the devil itself of crippling all businesses, or the lifeblood for those who could not have gotten access to certain goods. You have to weigh it out. But who would have thought? We did not see it. There is behind me a poster. It's called the E-Manifesto, the e-commerce manifesto. We developed it. There was a company called M2K in Austin, Texas. I was living in Austin at the time. And many a night, and many a bar on 6th Street, particularly the Library Club. Why? Because my company's office was right above the Library Club. But we would meet at different places and we would discuss the issues, because the challenge back then was that you had a population that were not computer savvy. They just weren't. And When you start to tell a person on the street, if I would have told you 20 years ago, listen, Jack, you're going to buy everything you want and it can be delivered to you within 3 days. Anything you want. You'll never have to step outside your house. In fact, I can tell you, you can order all your groceries and you're going to have this whole entertainment. You'd have looked at me and said, get the fuck away from me. Are you out of your mind? But look at it. We didn't see it this way. We were challenged how we were going to get the consumer to change his and her buying habits. Because there's a certain thing about being able to go into a shop, a store, feel the merchandise, smell it. You know, everyone knows the smell. It's the new smell. But look at it. That may be gone. I'm just reading some. And it's true, folks. It really is. And we're living it. Had no idea. Speaking of which, and like I said, this is kind of just doing the odds and ends, and that's how the whole week's going to go. Got so much material here that we won't ever run out. I did this program, and it was called They Are Here. And I love this. One of mankind's problems is we keep committing the same errors. That was Ronald Reagan. It's happening. It's been for some times. Mayans had it right. Humanity misinterpreted. I did this. In fact, when I looked at this, I did this about 4 years ago. So this one I just threw in because it's really weird how what I was doing back then years ago is now exactly what's happening now. Back then I wrote, I said it was called a shift, a crossing, an awakening, a new earth. We've been here before. Each time it has brought change, both good and bad. It resets the clocks. It's been heading our way for a long time. Millions have, millions of us have waited for its arrival. And, you know, we hear the old age, new age. It's an age. I went on to write, I said, it does not matter. Humanity called for this. In the last reset, epochs ago, we almost mastered thought. I do believe we got really, really close. But again, I don't think it was the masses. I think it was select groups, certain regions. I'll put it that way. We know that something is happening now. I'm going to get more into it on my show on the Steiger perspective. It's here. I get into the whole idea of what thought actually does, how thought is energy. Energy converts to time. Time becomes space. And then that's what we get with all matter. Thought, energy, time, space, matter, compressing the harmonics and the frequencies all become impacted. They become what we call stacked waves. And that's where things get interesting. We know about the Schumann resonance, 7.83. That is almost becoming history. I don't know if it even keeps its frequency anymore. That we know that Earth is physically alive. If you read the NASA concept, it's a spaceship. It's a living spaceship. And when you look at that, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? See, I was talking back then, we all knew something. I mean, there was a group that, the whole Planet X people and then, Nibiru, and there was just so much going on. But what I am now seeing, it was all part of this resonance that was changing. It was happening. We were just not aware of it. I said, if you have not noticed, the earth has begun speaking. She has been warning humanity, but we have not been listening. Again, I wrote this a couple of years ago. Y'all go back in the archives. Many of us have known this. The signs are everywhere. Earth's heartbeat is increasing. I think we're seeing a change of the soul. Many life energies are coming here. I think the portals are open. I think we tore the fabric with the first atmospheric atomic explosion, and subsequently, they never closed up. Again, we have the whole idea that many souls are trapped here. And it begs into saying, well, if you have souls that are coming in for a particular event, and they're not of this, would they come in here to be purposely trapped? Don't know. I wrote that we all will be here. It is in the transitional plane. This, by the way, is many of us have seen this, folks. You've been there before. I have. You've been in the Great Hall. You know what I'm talking about. It's massive. But this is about one of the best depictions that I have seen of it. And of course, all the orbs are the new, the life's getting in there. I talked about the fact that this source is watching us as we watch it. Some will make it out. I wrote back then, I was seeing clearly in my spirit, others will not. But I did know that there are those who will make it out. Many know this already, and you're not losing your mind. And look at what many of us are experiencing today. How poignant, something that was channeled, and now you look at it. You know, the thing about the creators, they never stop creating. And as they continue to create, they look back on their past creations and see how is the evolution moving? How is it developing? There's recently a story I read yesterday that they believe that most intelligent species have killed themselves, in which mankind is on its way as well to go extinct. That's depressing as hell. I happen to think that it's different. I happen to think that they failed to understand that there is a transmutation that I believe that happens with all higher intellects. Just because I can't see it on the physical does not mean anything that it's not happening on another plane of existence. I contended back then that many will not even be aware when they transmute. Many of us already have. It's in us. We carry the code. I believe in many of us, many, and I'm talking millions, if not potentially billions, the code is being activated. It's been there. The soul is eternal. And when you get to the death portal, never give away your soul light on the other side, folks. Remember, it's a release, it's an ascension, and eventually a complete transformation. The moment of death and the release is beyond description. So start meditating now. The other side is like being born. All of humanity has known a new earth has been formed. It was created by us. And this is what I think that they try to take away from us, how they try to take away and change our reality. And no matter what we see, this is, I think, the firewall. Because as we come together as this group, this community, we start beginning to connect psychically, and we are. Many of us are. We're building a different place for us all. So there you go. Thought that was interesting. Get out of here. Because sure enough, look what's happened. And the change is here. It's happening. There is a new system being implemented. Some have seen it in the past, the seers. They have given it a name. Some say that it's the mark of the beast. I call it the beast system. Next year, when China, and this is important, folks, you really need to hear this because it's going to impact us all. China will be unleashing is probably the better word for it, their digital yuan. And the digital yuan is now replacing the greenback in petrodollars. All petrodollars will be now converted into Chinese digital yuans, which because they're gold backed. The Federal Reserve announced yesterday that they are going to be issuing in most likely February, March, because of what the Chinese are about to unleash. It's going to cripple our dollar. Literally, folks, cripple our dollar. And because our dollar is backed on nothing, a hope and a prayer is what our dollar is backed on. And so once they convert us to the federal Bitcoins called the federal coin, there won't be any more. It will eliminate the biggest underground economy, which is the barter industry. And by this, they virtually will be no privacy. And I've already seen the next generation of what they've actually got planned. It's actually a optical laser, doesn't hurt, but they're already using it in Florida. And once it gets tied to this federal coin, everyone will have an account, and you will literally go into the driver's DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, wherever it is in your state, wherever country you're in, and you will literally put your hand under a scanner, and it will put a tattoo. It's a mark. It's a digital mark, like a UPC code, and you won't be able to see it. It won't hurt, but that is going to be the new process. And the scanners are already in. The thing about it is, when you look at what's happened where commerce is concerned, where I buy our groceries, 3 years ago, they had 3 self-checkouts. Stayed that away, stayed that away, stayed that away. Today, they have now expanded the 3 to 12. There are plans to expand the 12 to eventually 18, replacing the cashier and the bag person bagging your groceries. So it's here. And the way that they have introduced it, this system, is because of this current pandemic. And so you have all of these convergences coming together. And what it spells is it's very frightening, to be very candid with you. This is a prison that I don't think any of us expected to happen this quickly. Now, maybe the only thing that would be the saving grace to this, the sun goes through a micronova, or we get hit, let's say, with an X100 solar flare, fries the freaking grid, puts us back into the Stone Age, and all of their plans go to hell in the handbasket. And those of us who have gotten ourselves together, we're going to learn how to communicate that it doesn't matter if we start the migration, we're going to find places where we know we can all eventually meet. Hey, listen, at least it's a plan. It's better than sitting there running your hand going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. No, listen, if that's their plan, fine. The key to success is adaptability. If you are always adaptable in your mind, in your body, your spirit, you're always going to be a success. You're always going to achieve your goals. Those who flexible, they cannot be broken. As a wind would come through, they bend in the wind. That's what we do. So there, I refuse to succumb to the gloom. Screw that. It's like I told my wife. I said, if you see the storm coming, what are you going to do? You're going to prepare and then dance, baby. Make sure you got the music. I mean, in our Faraday cages, and we have several that are pretty intense, I have music devices. Why? Because I liked my Walkman. And I like music, you know? You got to have music. That's all I got to say. Although, you know, some of us have enough. Okay. See, Jenny, you got it. Uh-huh. Like a tree, I dance in the wind. And, you know, one of the things I love about the mountains going out on those quiet walks is that you hear the wind talking and you hear the trees talking. You know, well, yeah, I'm right there, baby. I'm right there. I'm even smelling it. Yeah. So, hey, this has been fun. I missed y'all. I really did. And thank you for all the concern. Well, come on, Paul Joe, you Walkman. Yes. I was really proud of my Walkman. I mean, that was like the coolest thing ever, wasn't it? uh there you go. Like a willow tree. There, Brandy, that is true. You ever think about a willow tree? Boy, I mean, when they're in full blossom, I mean, he wouldn't get it. I don't think so. I mean, you can see, man, they dance. Dance, children, dance. There was a song, an artist, Leon Patello, he's actually was one of the original band members of Santana, found religion and eventually became a preacher, but he had a song called I Want to Build a Temple to the Sky. And it's a great song. I mean, it's one that if you take it out of a religious context, it really is uplifting. Kind of tells us what's really going on. I think we all have our temples in the sky. All righty, everyone. Well, I'll be here. Oh, Tanya, thank you. Much love to all of y'all. I'll be here tomorrow and maybe even be here on Christmas. We don't celebrate Christmas, and because of the emergency in the state of Colorado, we have other things that will make it impossible for us to even be together as a family. But that's all right, you know. It's like Lynn and I said, we go with the flow, and that's how you do it. All right, don't get depressed, folks. Let me tell you something. Don't do it. You have the ability within to master the energy that flows from within. And I know it's tempting. Depression, believe it or not, feels good. Many people become addicted to it because, you know, we can get all to the, but I say, screw that. You know what? It's easier for me to laugh than it is for me to cry. And since some things seem to be out of my control, then I'm going to master those that I can control. And the rest of it, hey, ain't no big deal. Thank you, Peter. So, folks, I have this to say to all of you beautiful, beautiful souls out there. And guys, we've got the ladies go first always. Y'all are the most beautiful that's out there. And the rest of you guys, you know, just chime in. We're a good group. And we need all of us together. And look at, we meet here every day. Yeah. What does that tell you? Except for Saturday and Sundays, and who knows, that may change as well. All righty. I still love that song that Jay said, you know, about the Netflix series, you know, I want to feel Christ and Wayne. So, all right, everyone, Nina's going live. So check on that over there. Love you folks. Much favor to you. See you tomorrow. All right.